set the best Sector 1 time of all. Same again in Sector 2. So the team have clearly sorted out the handling of the car. Oh, just the back end flicking as he comes through turns 8 and 9, that little chicane. So he heads up to the start-finish line, cuts the timing beam and goes quickest. So Stefano Kamini, P1 ahead of Dan Lloyd, Morbidelli, Nash, Colciago, Huff now up to P6. As there is Luca Engstler and Jens Renaud Moller deep in the gravel. That at the very least will bring out the safety car. No, indeed, the red flags have come out. And we may well see a repeat of that incident. Indeed, coming through turn 9, just getting onto the dirty line of the track. And as the right-hander at turn 10 stretches away, and there is Luca Engstler also through the gravel, but unlike Moller, he is able to pick his way through and continue. Oh, big slide from Kamini through the gravel. So Stefano Kamini, the reigning TCR International champion, double champion, exploring the levels of grip, and the car biting back as he just flicked through that little left-right sequence. So Kamini through the gravel, but continuing. But for the second session, Free Practice 1 was stopped with around 4 minutes of the session remaining and didn't restart. On this occasion, we are 11 minutes or so into the session, and the marshals should be able to recover Moller's car in quick order. But quickest of the 23 cars at the moment, Stefano Kamini, as he heads into the pits. So it's Kamini from Lloyd, Morbidelli, Nash, Kajaya, Stian Paulsen, we've not really seen this session, in the Seats, P6, ahead of Colciago, Huff, Homola, Jaap van Lagen 10th. Then it's Danny Kroes, P11, Oriola, Luca Engstler, Altoe, P15 at the moment is Aurélien Panis, Jean Calvinet, P16. Then it's Demoustier, Borkovic, Fitzer in the Kia, who again we've not seen. Tashi, P20 after that puncture. Then Vervish, as we get an idea of timings. So 0.8 of a second covering the top 6 from Kamini down to Paulsen. Duncan Indy, I think it was, P22. As we look once again at Kamini getting it completely sideways through the gravel. And you can see the snap back as the car just bites Kamini. Indeed, I was right, from Vervish P21, Indy P22. Now, we've hardly spoken about the Kia so far. Ferenc Fitzer had the car for the first time in Hungary 3 weekends ago. Then the car was delivered very late. It was only finished on the Friday before the race weekend, so the team really didn't have much time to get to grips with the car. Here, they're struggling a little with setup. Moller is successfully out of the gravel and makes his own way back, under his own steam, back to the pits. So fingers crossed, once the marshals are able to clear the gravel away from the spot where he went off, then we should be underway once again. And Moller, they're doing exactly what the drivers were asked not to do in the driver's briefing yesterday, which is if you do go off into the gravel and you pick up gravel in your front splitter or your brakes or whatever, don't wag the car around on the racing line to get rid of the gravel. Get off the racing line, get rid of the gravel, because you're obviously putting the other cars at risk of going off on the gravel that you shake out of the car. So we'll be underway again in about 20 seconds. The session will restart at 12:50 local time. But the clock's still ticking because of the revised timetable caused by that power cut overnight. We are on a bit of a deadline to get all the various series that are running here at Oschersleben this weekend underway. We go green once again. Let's head down to the pit lane. It's Francois Vervist, and he is talking to Alfredo Filippone.
Francois Vervist, quite a technical circuit and a lot of problem with the gravel, huh?
Yeah, I mean it's old school racetrack with still some gravel beds, some big curbs. So the driver need to find hard to find the limit of the car. But actually, what Stefano does, he did a good lap, but then the lap after was a bit over the limit. So he went a bit in the gravel, and now we have to control the car if everything works. But yeah, it seems that it's an old school track, like we like.
Thank you. All the best.
Francois Verbies talking there to Alfredo. An old school track, very much describes Oschersleben. There is Attila Tashi in the heaviest car on the circuit with that 30 kilos of success ballast, followed closely by teammate Roberto Colciago. They go through turn 9. You see what I mean about those knockdown barriers. It's very easy to see if any of the cars cut that corner. Into the right-hander at turn 10 to go down the stadium straight, the back straight here at Oschersleben. As James Nash weaves to get some heat back into the wheel, the tyre. There is Oriola, there is Vervish, and there is Borkovic. We've not really spoken about the Alphas that much in FP2 so far as Kamini heads back out. No lasting damage then to Jens Renaud Moller's Honda after that excursion into the gravel. So the clock continuing to tick down to this half-hour session. We're into the second part, having lost a couple of minutes because of that interruption, because of the red flag. Stefano Kamini then, quickest so far. It was Luca Engstler who was quickest in FP1 this morning. All sorts of tweaks and changes being done to cars' setup. But it's this afternoon at 3 o'clock that we'll really find out exactly what's happening in terms of setup and tyres and goodness knows what else. And we've been talking about the teenagers, the young drivers in the TCR International Series. 3 weekends ago, it was Attila Tashi who stunned us all with those 2 back-to-back victories at the Hungaroring. Giacomo Altoe, youngest of all, 16 years of age in the West Coast Racing Volkswagen. And Luca Engstler, we've been talking about so far, quickest in FP1, 17 years of age. What can Altoe and his teammate Gianni Morbidelli do here at a track that, in theory, should favour the Seats and the Volkswagens? Now, there I was saying that we hadn't really talked about Borkovic that much. There he is, his quickest Sector 1 time, an improvement of 7/10 in his Sector 1 time. Borkovic currently down in P18. Best Sector 2 time as well for Borkovic. There is Norbi Mikelic, boss of Mira Racing. He's come once again in between his other racing commitments. Did, you have to say, a fantastic job at his home event to lead Attila to those 2 victories. And Altoe comes into the pits. So Borkovic then, having improved in all 3 sectors. Now, Danny Croes, we've talked about a few times. Currently P11. Croes and the Ferry Monster Seat Leon, one of the 3 new drivers to the TCR series here at Oschersleben this weekend. Dan Lloyd, currently P2 behind Kamini. So, a fairly cautious outlap from him. Tashi improving his time, a second up in Sector 2. Borkovic still on an improving upward trajectory. Borkovic quicker in Sector 1, his best Sector 1 time so far. Similar story for Engstler, as Tashi comes around turn 14 for the final time, heads up to start-finish straight. He improves to P12, so a 4-place improvement for Attila Tashi, nudging Oriola down. But look at this, Engstler, gold lozenges for him in both sectors 1 and 2. Let's see if we can pick up the Team Liqui Junior car. And Moller in trouble again. This time, though, he keeps going. Oriola improves to P4. There is Engstler. What can he do? He takes the timing beam. But no, indeed, whatever happened in Sector 3 caused him to lose 8 seconds. So I'm not sure if we can see that as a replay. Stian Paulsen, real character, seems to enjoy almost as much the bits between the races as he does out on track. Fitzer improving in the Kia. There he is in the bright green Zengo Racing Kia Ceed. A lot of interest in this car, made its debut in Hungary a few weeks ago. And the team did, I have to say, a good job, brilliant job to get it to the finish in both races. But Fitzer improves, doesn't get into top 18. But Engstler repeating his charge from the previous lap. And Jean Calvinet heads in. And no, indeed, Engstler doesn't keep up the speed in Sector 2. Oriola currently 4th, bumping across the curb there. So best sectors from him, but not enough to move up the order. Still P4. Luca Engstler improves to 12th. And Father Franz telling Alfredo earlier on, Alfredo asking him, I thought a fairly well phrased, very polite question, saying, former driver, is that correct, Franz? And Franz saying, well, not really. I would quite like to do an endurance event with my son. Gianni Morbidelli goes quickest. So it's the West Coast Racing Volkswagen of Gianni Morbidelli, who is currently quickest ahead of Stefano Kamini and Dan Lloyd. And Morbidelli, that gold lozenge on the timing screen suggesting that the charge continues from Morbidelli. So the team, having worked out what they need to do to the Volkswagen, not such a promising time in Sector 2. Kajaya currently 6th. Borkovic, his teammate, down in 14th. And Kajaya involved in the big accident in Hungary, you might recall, at the start of race 2. And I understand that the car's not had a new engine, but possibly a new turbo. So there is Morbidelli, currently quickest. Danny Croes improves his time. There is Croes. Oh, just as we were talking about him. Oh, big collision with the barriers. That's a big shunt. And are we likely to see the red flags coming out once again for that? Let's just see that again. Through the gravel, keeps going across the grass, and a big thump into the barriers. And you can see there the damage to the front left-hand side, which is, of course, the driver's side of the car. Kroes still in the car at the moment. No indication of safety car or red flags. Indeed, no, the session has now been stopped. The correct decision, since Kroes is still in the car. But the clock continuing to tick down. So are we likely to see another shortened free practice session here at the Motorsport Arena in Oschersleben? Gianni Morbidelli, quickest so far, ahead of Stefano Kamini, Dan Lloyd, Pepe Oriola, James Nash, David Kajaya, Stian Paulsen, Roberto Colciago, Rob Huff, and Matto Homola. That's our top 10. And the session stopped because of Danny Kroes. There he is out of the car, which is always good to see, but Kroes, a big thump into the tyre barriers there. And I'm looking at my timing screen to see if the session will resume. Only 4 minutes remaining, and so can the car be recovered? There is Kajaya and Moller. And that's at the final corner, the entry to turn 14. Okay, let's head down to the pit lane with Alfredo once again, and he's with the team boss of Mira Racing, Norbert Mikelic.
Norbert Mikelic, quite an interesting morning at Oschersleben with a lot of incidents.
Yeah, it started a bit boring with the first free practice session having been delayed, but yeah, for us it was exciting, I have to say, because we struggled a bit with performance. We tried to fine-tune the cars for FP2. Now there is red flag again, so I hope we will have a chance to go out for the last run, because we need to improve a bit.
Yeah, for the Hondas, maybe it's success ballast?
Yeah, but it's from one weekend to the other, you see it's changing a lot. I don't mean success ballast, but this one circuit suits one car, then the other circuit suits the other car a bit better. We expected to struggle here, to be honest. It's about damage limitation. So I would like to have both cars in top 10 in qualifying, but now looking at lap times, it won't be easy.
And of course, we have your young protege, Attila Tashi, doing extremely well this season.
Yeah, I'm really proud of Attila. I said this many times because just in terms of driving, he improved a lot since last year. And he collects the points on the table. So you could see in Hungary, when it matters, he has the speed, he has the commitment to win even 2 races one weekend. From now on, the focus is to grab the points which are left on the table, because we would like to be in the fight for the championship until the end.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All the best.
Bye-bye.
The session will not restart, so no restart for this free practice 2. Barrier repairs, as you can see there, are needed, and so while the car is being recovered, that is a premature end to free practice 2. So Alfredo, if you head down to talk to the quickest man in this session, which is Gianni Morbidelli, as we see replays of the incident involving Danny Kroes, and a big thump into the barriers. But happily Kroes out of the car and on his way back to the pits.
Ich hoffe jetzt inständig, dass da also wirklich nur der Reifenstapel neu geordnet und sortiert werden muss. Denn wenn wir jetzt auch die Leitplanken